Welcome to another episode of the Bigger Than Food podcast. My name is Apollo Woods. I am your host. Many of you know me as the founder and president of OKC Black Eats, but I'm also the founding executive director of the Bigger Than Food Foundation. So, what are we talking about today? Talking about food. And we have another guest today that's going to tell you about some amazing cuisine. She is doing amazing work here in Oklahoma City through her food truck and now a storefront as a caterer, as a business owner, as an amazing woman that has a business with her family. Look, it's a lot. And today we're talking about African cuisine and the influence of African cuisine in the marketplace here in Oklahoma City. Now listen, we're going to talk about a lot of food, a lot of food. And so we're going to go a little bit all over the place. You know how we do in these conversations. And y'all know I'll be having a problem with these glasses fogging up, but we're going to try to do it not this way without my glasses.
Okay.
But I want to bring on Jola, who is the head chef, the head mama, the visionary, the caterer, the hardworking woman who brings amazing African cuisine to Oklahoma City metro area. And here's the secret. She actually ships orders outside of the country. So we got a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to bring on Jola, and we're going to talk about her amazing foods that she prepares at Jola's Kitchen here in Oklahoma City metro area.
Thank
What's
you.
going on?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Good
good.
to see you.
You too. Now, we've talked and, we've had a chance to, you've shared with me a lot of the great foods that you prepare. Mm-hmm. But I don't think many people know more about you. And the good thing, and what we do here on the podcast is we want people to hear the stories behind the people preparing amazing cuisines as business owners. Mm-hmm. And right now you are one of 3 African restaurants in our entire metro area, brick and mortars. Now, there are caterers, there are food trucks, there are other types of cuisines, but you're one of 3 in the metro. So we're blessed to have you here. So if you would just start out with telling our audience who you are and why. Let's just start there. Who you are and why you enjoy cooking.
Okay. Okay. I again, Apollo. Thank you so much for bringing me on here. Thank you. I want to say I didn't expect it, but I'm so thankful to be on here. Well, my name is Jola Sumola. My full name is Jola Ajesu, but a lot of people just call me Jola Sumola. I am the head chef and owner of Jola's Kitchen, authentic African food here in Oklahoma City. We have our brick and mortar in Edmond. We specialize in Nigerian cuisine. How I started cooking or why I enjoy cooking. I grew up with my mom cooking a lot. I just knew that every time we returned from school, there was always food. And I remember very well at some point, she actually sold food in Nigeria, but that's amongst many other things that she did. She was the actual entrepreneur. She sold a lot of things. And when I moved to the United States to go to school, I actually learned air braiding. So I do that pretty well. So I used to braid for money and all of that. But I always make food. So because when we moved here, I was in Utah. So imagine that there was no African food anywhere and we needed to eat. So we would cook ourselves. But amongst my friends, I guess I was the one that enjoyed doing it a lot more. And whenever my friends will have their birthdays, I would stay up all night while the celebrant is asleep and I'll make their food. And I would also make food, would all share, would contribute the ingredients. And gradually, when I saw that I started taking more of my time to cook for people's birthdays, I started to charge, I think, $30. No, first I would go with you to Walmart. Later, I stopped going with them to Walmart. And then later, you pay me $30 and I'll cook everything for you. And that was how I really started cooking for business.
Well, I think you skipped over a lot here, right? You skipped over a lot. So you were born in Nigeria.
Yes.
Born in Nigeria. And at what age did you come to the United States?
I think when I was 16.
So you came to the United States at 16 and
Yeah,
y'all moved to Utah?
Utah.
Okay, you
I
got to
know.
tell me how that happened. Like, how did you move
I
from?
know everybody says that. How did that happen? Okay, we graduated high school, and there was okay. So Dixie State University, I believe, they had an agent in Nigeria that helped them recruit students. Because I remember well when we got to Utah, they would travel from
Wait,
time to time.
did you say Texas State?
No, Dixie State.
Oh,
D-
Dixie State. I was like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, we have a
Okay.
connection to Texas as well.
No. Dixie State University, yes. And it taught us a lot about the school. So we had to do the TOEFL, the SAT exams because the schools required it. And we did those, and then we went for our visa interview.
Hold
And
on, you
that's why,
graduated high school in at 16?
so that's why no, I graduated high school at 16, yes. And
Okay,
then yes, I know it's different in Nigeria.
okay,
People start school as at the age of 2. There are actually some people that start at like a year and 6 months.
okay. So that's a lot different from
Yes,
here in the States
it is.
because a person will probably start maybe kindergarten or first grade somewhere around like
4
5 or 6-ish
or
years
later.
old.
Yep.
But you start like formal education like you're starting at one and
So
a
we have
half, 2 years
French.
old.
Yeah.
So, okay, I got a lot more questions now. We're probably gonna go off track here. Okay, so okay, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. So you graduate
hmm
high school at 16, start preparing for college,
Yeah.
move to Utah.
hmm
How was that adjustment? When did you no before that? When did your mom talk to y'all about moving to the States, and why did y'all move from Nigeria to the States and go to Utah?
Okay. Sincerely, for me personally, it was not talked about. Um, I actually did not want to come to the United States. I
Okay.
really wanted to go to Ghana because there's this joke where because my skin is so dark and Ghanaians are like darker than Nigerians, everybody would say I look like a Ghanaian. So I picked interest in going to school in Ghana so I could claim to be a Ghanaian whenever I needed to. So sincerely for me, it was never talked about. I know that when it was time to move, my dad was the one that was interested. So he had some other friends that were interested in having their kids move abroad. So they told him about it, and he was like, okay, I'm the baby of the house. So everyone had gone to school. I was the only one that had to go to college. So when he said it,
Okay, so how many siblings do you have?
I have 3. So I'm the
So,
fourth of 4 children.
okay, okay.
Yes, I have
So,
3
so
older
you're the baby
siblings.
of 4.
Yes, I'm the baby of 4. Yes. So I
Okay.
have an elder sister, 2 boys in the middle, and I'm the fourth. So
So are they in the States or do they still live in Nigeria?
um I have my elder sister is in Nigeria, my
Okay.
brother is in the UK, and I have one of them here in the United States. So
Okay.
we're like spread
You
out.
got you got a global family.
I do. So it was never talked about, but daddy really wanted me to come to the United States. He told me to go start the classes and I would just ignore. And he said it about 3 times and I had to go start because he was
Okay.
paying, right? And
Okay.
that was how I started. So that was just the one person we knew. I know that when I then got interest, I thought about going to Florida State University. I just read about it. So
Yeah.
I didn't even read a lot about
Okay.
the United States or anything.
Okay.
But that was the school the man was recruiting for, and that was how we got to Dixie.
Okay. So when you were told that that you were moving to the States, like what was that like for you? Like, were you nervous? Were you scared? Like, what were those feelings like when you basically your parents made a decision they
Mhm.
felt like was best for you to get an education to continue on and they made a decision to help shape the direction of your life. You were just told. But
Yes.
how did that feel for you? Like, what were you thinking? Do you remember what you were thinking when you were told like you're going to the States?
Personally, I was not nervous or anything. So going to the States is like, oh wow, that's good. That was a good thing because it was expensive. Very, it's still expensive to move to the United States. Um, my parents were not poor, but we were very comfortable. For some reason, I never thought about traveling to the United States. We've had a lot of people around that will go and come back. So for me, it was just like, so when it finally became real to me, it was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to America. Literally. Um, Seriously, that's what it was for me, and I just didn't tell anybody about it. I told you how I learned air braiding. So while I was going to classes to take my exams, I would still go to for my braiding classes, and I just knew there were people in around me or that we attended the classes together that didn't have the opportunity to also come to America. So I never talked about it. I mean, never. So the day that I was leaving, there's something we call freedom. When you go learn a trade, that's just like doing a mini graduation. The day I was leaving for America, that was the morning my mom went and she was like, I'm not going to let you leave without paying your boss and letting her know that she needs to pray for you so you can get the blessings of the job you learned. That was the day my co-workers or apprentices knew that I was going to United States. And I remember one of them saying, oh my God, and we will talk down on you so much and you never said anything. And I was just like, I mean,
wait, you said they talked down on you?
so it's so when talking down in Nigeria it'll be different from talking down here. So just being petty, and because my dad, we lived in the estate, and they'll be like, your dad has so much money, why is he not sending you abroad? They would ask me that.
Okay.
And I would just laugh about it. I'd be like, well, I just want to go to Ghana, or I just want to go to school in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So they would say all of those things, and
not knowing that you were actually getting ready to go to the States.
Yes.
Okay.
And because I was going to classes, I wouldn't come to work every day. So whenever I show up to work, they'll be like, oh, 1 day on, 3 days off. That's what you do.
So how old were you when you started working?
So I wasn't working, I was learning.
Oh, okay. So this is going through the like learning different trades and learning.
Yes. Okay. I was learning the air braiding skills. So I wasn't working. My mom was an entrepreneur. So if the question is when I knew how to make money, maybe I was like 5 years old. I remember I would go buy a dozen of cookies for 55 naira and I'll put it in front of a store and I'll make 65 naira. So I'd keep the 10.
Okay. So your mom was an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And so what's the equivalent of a naira to the dollar?
It's currently bad now. It's right now, as of today, it's about 850. When I moved to the United States initially, it was 150.
So one US dollar is was 150 nearer to 1 US dollar.
When I moved in 2014.
So 9 years later, it's down to
850. So now a dollar, it's bad now. So naira has crashed, or it's still crashing.
Oh, okay, I get it. So now, it would the currency exchange was better then, but now $1 gets you 850 naira.
Yep. It's cool when I travel to Nigeria, but it's terrible when I have to trade in the US or I have to pay tuition. So imagine if my dad would need $1 million naira, then now it would probably need times 6 of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, so but you started learning. So did your mom tell you like, hey, like you'll sell these cookies, but you're going to sell them at 65, I'll give you 10. Like, how did that work? Or you just decided to like be the stereotypical Nigerian and say like, I'm gonna swindle you for 10. That's really bad to say. That really
no. So my mom had a store
Okay.
As at this time, she sold different things at different points. At some
Okay.
point, she had two different stores, one in the back, one in the front, and they sold different things. So this time, this was a gift items store. She would sell birthday cards, frames,
Okay.
just beautiful things. And I would stay in the shop and make money for her and give it to her. Like I helped her in our trade a lot. We
Okay.
all helped. Every child helped my mom. So I just I knew that we would go and buy cookies, and I think we would pay 5 naira or 10 naira. But then I would follow my mom to the store where they sold in bulk. So, like when you buy a pack of water, as opposed to when you go to the vending machine to buy one.
Okay.
So I realized that, oh, it's cheaper here. Um, and I just thought I wanted to make money. So I
Mm,
would go buy a dozen and sell in beats to people, just like buying a
okay.
pack of water and selling a bottle each. And that was how I was making the extra money. So
Okay.
I
So
would
you were so y'all would go buy things, and whether it's the market or whatever store, you buy it in a wholesale, and
yes.
then you would take it back to the store, and then
Mhm.
you would sell it as a markup, whatever the marked up price is,
Mhm.
and then you would keep a portion and the others. And it's interesting that you talk about, you mentioned that everybody in your family, they worked or had some type of job they did to support the family.
Mhm.
Do, do you think that living in living in Nigeria and your mom being an entrepreneur, your dad working hard the way he did, had an impact or has an impact on the type of entrepreneur you are now?
Yes. So actually, the children didn't have to work to support the business. We just helped my mom in her. So my dad was a civil servant. He worked for PHCN. It was called NEPA then. And then my mom was an entrepreneur. She was a trader that sold things and all of that. So certainly helping my mom throughout my growing years shaped me into who I am. So sales and marketing became inbuilt because I grew up with it. I remember sometime before I came here, actually in 2014, after I graduated, this time, of course, I was out of high school. My brother had an accident, and my mom had to travel with him to India. They were in and out of the hospital for about 9 months. I held down a gift items store, and I already followed her to Lagos. Lagos is it's kind of different here. Lagos is where we go to buy the wholesale items, and I would go to Lagos by myself, stock up the store, and I know how much to sell it for us to make profit.
Okay.
So all of those things, I guess I didn't know. I had no idea that they were in me. So it was very easy to transition when I started a business here in the United
Mhm.
States. It
It was
became
normal.
natural.
So it
Yes.
was what you would just would normally do. So it wasn't any different.
Yes.
I'm I'm just intrigued because it's connecting the dots and it's making so much sense
Mm-hmm.
to me, because when I hear people say, especially they're coming over from Africa, they'll say they start businesses fast and kids are working in the store, um, because the connection is different. So for me growing up, I didn't have entrepreneurs in my family that I knew of, so I wasn't around entrepreneurs. It
Mm-hmm.
was all about, as African American, it's get your education, graduate from high school, then go to college. Because my parents grew up in the 60s and the civil rights era, so the emphasis was different. Whereas you grew up where you started education early, you graduated early, but you were also around to learn business in a way that you learned the skill that made you self-sufficient. So
Mm-hmm.
you always understood, well, if I bought this item at a wholesale price and I learned what I have to sell it at to make money, then when I make that money, I put it back in the business, which is crazy because we only talk about that. I went to graduate school to get my MBA. We talk
Oh,
about that in graduate school. there's no real conversation about that when you're young.
That makes sense. Oh yeah. I think, like you said, it's just the upbringing. Because I also remember, like in high school, a friend commented on our post when we launched the Edmond store. I
Okay.
remember in high school then, just because I wanted to make money, we would make fish rolls. I mean, that was against the
Okay.
school rules, but
What's a
I
fish roll?
would come with very hot. So you know how we have the meat pies,
Yeah.
and my husband's been telling me I need to bring back fish rolls. I would come to
You've been
school in the
holding
morning.
back. Yeah. Yeah. I
I
thought we
know,
had a better
with
relationship than this.
very hot
Then you
fish
telling me
rolls.
now about fish rolls. I've never heard about fish rolls until
Oh,
now.
really?
See,
Yes.
I thought we were better than that. Thought we were better than that.
No, we have a lot we're working on with Jolas, and we hope that, like, at the start of 2024, we can like unleash everything. But again, it has to be gradual. But I remember I would take very hot fish rolls to school, and my classmates and everyone on the block would try to catch Jola's fish rolls because it would literally sell out in like 30 minutes.
Wait. So you had the business name Jola's in high school?
No. But my name is Jola, so everybody would just say
Oh,
Jola has
okay.
fish roll. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so
So
now you have a restaurant called Jola's Kitchen.
exactly.
Okay.
So for people
Okay.
that went to high school with me, they can relate. I mean, and it's amazing because I never thought of it. I never thought about selling food or anything. Like I said, I went and I learned air braiding. That was what I was gonna do. I went to school for accounting. I knew that.
Hold on.
Well, I guess.
Hold on. Wait. Before we start talking about the career stuff, you still
Mhm.
have not told me about this fish roll.
Oh, fish.
What is it? Like, is it like what kind of fish is it? What kind of seasonings? Like, what is
Okay.
it? Because
Have you ever tried
I
our meat
haven't.
pies?
Yes, I have. They're amazing,
Okay.
and I haven't eaten yet. And the fact that you're talking about fish rolls that you've never showed me what they are, I'm a little irritated because I'm hungry and I want to know. So tell me about
I'm
these fish
sorry
rolls.
about that. Let me tell you, fish rolls are the crust for jolas would be the same as our pie crust, but the filling is made from mackerel fish. So we would get mackerel fish, we would boil, we would completely debone it, and then we would add all of our seasonings and we put it in the dough. But you see how meat pies are like shaped as a pie? We literally roll fish rolls.
Mm.
It's like it would look like a sausage roll. I don't think that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, it looks exactly like a sausage roll, but we have fish in it. We can make it a
Okay.
little bit spicy. It has a little, when it has a little kick, is the best, but it does not
Yeah.
have to have that. Sometimes we would make fish pies too. They look exactly like the meat pies, but it has fish in it. And the very popular fish we use is mackerel.
So is it kind of is it rolled in a way like maybe like I guess like for the sake of the relation like an egg roll, or is it kind of is it rolled like an egg roll? Is it rolled? Is it like layered like a? I guess you think about like a maybe like a cinnamon roll. Not like a cinnamon roll is like rolled in a way where is the fish in between each layer.
Um, Closer to an egg roll, but the egg rolls are deep fried. They don't look like that. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. I
So
have
do you fry the fish roll?
so yeah, you can fry and you can bake. We do both.
Okay. What tastes better?
They
What you
both
like?
taste good. It's my mood. Oh my God. I promise you, Apollo. It just depends on my mood. You cannot go wrong with any of both. It's just like when we talk about samosas and meat pies. When you ask me
Okay.
what tastes better, like they both taste great. It just depends on your mood. Do you want baked or fried?
So you give me too many options. So how do you prefer to have a fish roll? Depends on your mood, right?
It depends on my mood. I remember
Good.
about 2 weeks ago,
I
I
hear
really
you.
wanted the baked ones and I
So
baked.
my mood right now is I'm hungry because you're
Okay.
talking about these fish rolls. Now, when I've gone into different markets,
Mhm.
African markets, I see a lot of like dried or dehydrated fish. So when I go into the market, why is it I see so many dehydrated like fishes or things in the store? And is there a reason why the dehydrated to whether they're cooked? Like, what could you explain that to me? Because I'm not really sure, like why that is.
Okay, so it's because in Nigeria they do a lot of smoked fish. Sincerely, that question is something that I think it came up recently, and we're talking about it, where we are assuming that it's because there wasn't a lot of power. That was a way to preserve it. But right now, the taste fresh catfish would give me in a particular type of soup, smoked catfish would do a totally different thing. So it's just part of our culture and the flavors we bring to meals. Most of these dehydrated fishes you see, they dehydrate them over open fire, like they smoke them. So they don't exactly use dehydrators. Now people are using dehydrators and all of that. But initially they started by just dehydrating them with charcoal or just use firewood. They'll put racks over firewood burning, and that was how they dehydrated them. And it just gave it flavors. Just like our jollof rice, many times we would say smoky jollof rice. Although I have learned that not a lot of Americans enjoy the smoky flavor. So, for example, we make sure that it's not a smoky. But when you go to a Nigerian party or you meet like the typical Nigerians, they want smoky jollof where they can actually taste the smoke. So with the dehydrated fishes, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
beyond trying to keep them to last long, it's part of our flavors. Just
Okay.
like you asked about the fish roll, and I said we can fry some and we can bake some.
Okay.
It's inbuilt. So if you wanted to make a good pot of eforo, right, or a good pot of afang soup, I mean, when you add stockfish to it, stockfish is one of the dehydrated ones you'd have seen. We
Okay.
call it oporoko at the same time. It takes your taste from like 10 to 25.
Okay. So when we've talked about this before, like, how do you determine how do I keep this authentic? Because you talk about authentic African cuisine to being able to introduce more people to what you prepare. What's the battle for that for you in determining how that's going to taste in the restaurant?
For me, the first thing that stays at the back of my mind is staying with the good old recipe. I'm not trying to add ginger and garlic to a goosey soup because I'm trying to let people enjoy. There are people that do it. Like there are chefs that I've excelled in playing around with that, and I respect them. But personally, I would stay with the original recipe. So, a typical example to start with is our jollof rice. I have not changed anything in the process, but I know I can get it less smoky because I understand not everybody wants it, but it will still taste like the Nigerian party jollof rice. That I had to learn quickly, especially when we opened the storefront in Edmond. I know that people enjoyed it, but we had people like rate us low because they said the rice tastes burnt. So
Well, okay, wait. Okay. When you said it tastes burnt, it makes sense now.
mhm,
So when I've tried jollof rice
mhm,
between Taste of Africa,
mhm.
Mama Z's, and Jola's, I can taste subtle differences. But when I'm at Mama Z's, I did taste like, oh, like you helped me understand that flavor that I'm tasting, it's not burnt, it's smoky.
Yes.
But it's almost akin to barbecue in America. Like, do you want
Yes.
really smoky flavor, or do you got those places that like they really do put their barbecue in the oven?
Yes. Yes. It's because we had to learn. So, and that takes us back to Jola's being majorly a caterer. I know the last time we spoke, I told you I cater for events. Having the storefront hours is us trying to serve the people that wanted to come from the food truck to always eat. So when I am catering events, we cater for all sorts of people, Africans, Nigerians getting married to Americans. Like so the guest list are always different. When we're doing the typical Nigerian, that jollof better be smoky because that's what they want. Exactly.
Yeah.
But now with the store, we have learned that, okay, not everybody likes this. So when people that are typical Nigerians say, oh, the jollof is really good, but it's not smoky, I'm like, order a tray and I'll
Mm.
make it tailored according to your taste. And that's where the catering side of Jolas comes in. Just be
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm learning that now we're serving I mean, we've always served a lot of diverse cultures, but on a daily basis, we now do more of it.
Okay. So you started off, you mentioned starting off like you were cooking and catering. You got the name Jola's
Mhm.
like when you were young and not realizing that years later you're going to have a business named Jola's Kitchen. So when you were, how did you shift from catering in Oklahoma to then making the switch to, I think we want a restaurant.
Okay, so when I started to cater, it grew gradually. People wanted, so I did just catering. And from time to time, I'll have like pop-up sales. And I worked out of, there was a co-community center. That was where our commercial kitchen was on West Expressway. And from time to time, we'll have pop-up sales. But people really just wanted more plates from Jolas. They would see us cater events and they'd be excited we were the ones catering. And then I knew that we were not ready to pay rent for brick and mortar. Although I realized that we started to outgrow the kitchen, it was becoming more stressful to unload, to load in and offload when it was time to finish cooking. You know, we had the time constraints where you had to be out at 5. So at some point we got the food truck. That was the next step. So we started to look for a food truck because we believed that we could serve more people with the food
Now,
truck.
were you working at the same time of doing catering as well?
I was up until 2020 or 2019 summer.
So
That
you
was when
started catering in what year?
2015 full time while I was in college.
Okay, so you were in college doing catering part time,
Yes, I'm going
and
to
then when
school
you
and work.
graduated, you were working full time.
Yes, I was working full time because I got my accounting degree and I worked with a local bank here in the city. I was a sales rep. And that continued up until we got married. And I was going to keep working, and then I was waiting for a document. I actually got a job with the state of Oklahoma, and they waited for me for about 3 weeks, but USCIS never sent that work permit, so I couldn't
Okay.
go back to the
Okay.
workforce. And I just faced my business because I had time
Ah,
then.
okay.
Yes.
I'll make this connection. Right.
I know. Yeah, so everything was, I mean, we make our plans, but I feel like God has the master plan. So many of what is happening with Jolas, I kid you not, I did not plan it. It was after 2020 or 2021, I started to pay attention to an actual business plan because sincerely, they just happened, and I believe God orchestrated everything. So I started to cook. Then we started to search for the food truck, and we finally found one, and we bought it. We launched it, and it was going good. It meant I had to work a lot, but people started to know more about Jola's. Shipping was picking up, and the commercial kitchen wasn't just working anymore, you know. And this was a business I started cooking from my 1 bedroom apartment, eventually moved to cooking from home, eventually getting a commercial kitchen. So I knew that we needed our own commercial kitchen. Now,
So
beyond
you
even,
started doing the food truck in 2020.
no, we launched the food truck in 2022.
So
No,
you launched the food truck a year ago,
yeah,
but probably at the end of 2019, 2020, this is when the COVID pandemic is happening,
yes.
right? So I want to go back to the connection you made earlier about learning how to run the business while your mom was taking care of family, doing other things. You learned
Mhm.
how to continue the business on. So when you were working, waiting on a document, didn't come. So you didn't have that job or that income, and you went right back into what you knew, what you learned, catering,
Yeah. Yes.
right? Got the
Mhm.
commercial kitchen, that's going well. But how did you go? And this is a business question.
Okay.
What did you go through to determine you can make this investment to afford to buy the food truck?
We did a lot of saving up. So while we in 2020 was the pandemic and everybody needed food. I kid you not. It was crazy. And because we shipped our meals across the states and even before I moved to the commercial kitchen
Wait,
where we
wait,
did
wait.
it.
See, that's another
Yeah.
detail. So you were catering and shipping food.
Yes.
How? Why?
So we
Because I'm curious now. Like you go from you you're doing a lot of stuff, but I'm
it's
fascinated
been
about
a
like you go from
journey,
like
yeah. It's a
catering
lot.
to shipping food across the state. Like, how do people know who you were if you're shipping food and you're here across the state?
So when I was in college, as far back as 2015, I
Okay.
opened my Instagram page and I would just post everything that I did, even just cooking for my friends. I mean, if you scroll to the very bottom of Jola's page, you would see it's been a journey. Jola's didn't just spring up. So I would just post and post. And, I moved from Dixie State in Utah and I moved to Oklahoma. I have friends that also moved all over the state, all over the United States. So they would actually say they miss my food and they really wanted to try it out. And I need to send them some food. I remember the first couple of boxes of meals I shipped. I mean, total waste. They were either not delivered or they were bad before they were delivered.
Uh,
And that was how shipping actually. So I would post my food from time to time. So people saw me. I think one thing that has helped Jolas is consistency. I think it's only about 3 months now that I have not been as consistent on social media. So it was a no scam zone.
okay.
Like I always like that's one of the things I would say when I post. I would post the process, I'll post that I'm going to the store. Like
Okay.
I am also a very personable person. So I would just post things on my stories, even when it didn't. And then there was Snapchat. Then I used
Mhm.
Snapchat a
Okay.
lot. So my social media wasn't full of my pictures as a person. It was more of food. I just posted
Okay.
food, food, food. And not everybody enjoys cooking. So people that are like my friends or my mates, they would be like, "Oh my God, how do you enjoy cooking?" And that was how it started. And
Okay.
then in 2020, I already mastered the art of shipping food because this has been something I started really in 2018, but I didn't talk about it a lot. I remember the video I posted recently. I literally was shipping food in foil plates at some point. So wrong. But I did that. I remember our food tray, the old food tray, the foil pan that we use for catering. I would ship meals in it, and I started to learn and read. Many of the things for me, one of the reasons I have my shipping class is because I had to stay up at night. I mean, up until now, there are days that I don't sleep until 3 a.m. I'm not watching a movie, but I am learning, I'm researching, I'm reading, I'm trying things out on how to make it work for Jolas, food or shipping wise. And so in 2020, I had I had posted my food and then I had sent out food to one of the influencers, Lizzie. Oh, I always say that I have to talk about her. And whatever she bought that moment was what everybody wanted, and we were able to deliver, and through the pandemic people were not going out, people were not going to the stores, so we would take the risk, we would go to the stores, and every day I would wipe down, I would sanitize, and I would take videos of telling them everywhere is cleaned, everywhere is wiped down, everywhere is sanitized. And that was out of our house then, and I would cook up all of these meals, freeze them up, and send them to people, and they enjoyed it. So for Jolas, it was a lot of word of mouth that helped us. I know that the reviews online is good and all of that. So we had a lot of returning customers and referrals. And we just continued to save our money and we continued to work. Now, we could go and say, oh, we want to get a store. But going back to the question you asked, I asked myself, I believe that you have to have backup plans. So growing up, my mom would always say, and I will never forget this, if you start a new business, you have to be ready to make a loss for the first 6 months to 1 year. It doesn't mean you'd always make a loss, but you have to have that at the back of your mind and you have to have enough funding for that business.
So you're
Because,
preparing for a contingency plan. Like you had a plan
yes,
in place because you know this in the food industry, there's a season where people don't go out and dine more or shop more or customer. So you have a lot of fluctuations. But I'm curious, is the backbone of your business your catering and ability to send meals out? Do you think that's what separates your business as Jola's Kitchen?
absolutely. Yes, because that was what we started with. And I've realized that's what I enjoy doing. So I would say the major backbone, like, it's God, and then catering and shipping is what Jolas is really known for the events, and we try our best to deliver that pretty well. Um, and over the years, I've had people that want to learn that I've asked questions. And that's why I mentioned earlier, I have a shipping class. I've not done any other thing aside that, because I also believe that before I tell you to pay for something, I better be giving you value for your money. So my
Hold
shipping,
on, wait a minute. See, I think you'll say stuff and you kind of like move along. I,
okay,
I heard you say shipping class. I thought you were taking class, but you offer a class to teach people how to ship food.
yes, I actually
Hold
do.
on, hold on, wait. Okay, okay.
I know it's a lot, Apollo. I feel like we're doing so
But
much.
I think that's part of entrepreneurship and owning a business. You have to learn a lot of different things.
Mhm.
So there's catering, there's a food truck, you have an accounting background, you worked at a bank, um, a family person, your entrepreneurship background, and you learn how to create a course that helps other businesses ship
Mhm.
foods. And I think the connection that I'm seeing in my head, most of that come most of what I see that is really from are people who are not, I would say, that immigrated to the United States. They're often sending food to places
Yes.
like where family, friend, or whomever is. But how did you create the course?
So because I was doing it so much, I started to have a lot of requests. People were asking me, how do you do it? How do you? So when I put everything together, whenever I have my shipping webinar, the least number of hours we spend is 2 hours. So that class takes anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. And so because I had a lot of people asking, and when people just ask the passive questions, like if you asked me, oh, should I use UPS, USPS, or FedEx? I can give you an answer, but I know it's beyond that. So I decided that I was going to share my knowledge. And I have a lot of people that follow Jolas that they met me through learning my shipping class or coming to my shipping class. And there's a lot of success stories, like businesses that have scaled up from that. So I decided that I was going to teach people. So whenever you come to the class, I it's it's a webinar. I put everybody together. At some point, I was doing it as a one-on-one. It just depends on my schedule. And before you leave, well, the moment you join the class, because some people don't come, I send you a file that has all the information of everything you need to purchase. And now in the class, we will talk about, and we direct links. So I wouldn't just list up things for you and make you go surf the internet. Everything has a direct links. And in the class, I would tell you what you really need to get started, because it's going to be a large investment if you try to buy everything on that list. So I would tell them like their boxes, the ice packs they can use, and then I'll throw in like bonus. bonus links of how I take my pictures, the background, because every picture, most of the pictures you see on our Instagram page, I took them with my phone. And
see, I tell people this all the time.
mm-hmm.
You have an amazing investment in your hand. To use what you have.
Yes.
So in this class that you've created, which is a brilliant idea. Are they pre-recorded, or are you doing each one of your courses as a pre-recorded, or is it a live class where you're having to teach every class?
It's live, and I know that I've gotten a lot of requests for people to have it pre-recorded where I can sell the recorded part. I mean, we have a lawyer for Jolas, and I feel like I need to talk to her more about that. I have not done that for so long because, again, I get very personal with the people in the class. I let them introduce themselves. They talk about their businesses. Every class group is different, and depending on how they participate, that's sometimes they get more to take home, because I feel like there is no entrepreneur that's small-minded. Everybody has something different to share. So when people tell me, oh, can you just have it recorded and sell the recordings, I'm like, yes, but I need to right now my brain hasn't gotten the capacity to know how to manage that appropriately. So I just do it like,
we're gonna do an exercise right now. We're gonna do it right now. Okay.
Okay.
So with all the things you have a lot of things on your plate, and time is a precious commodity.
Yes.
So if you were able to, what I recommend that you would do is pre-record the courses, but then create maybe a Facebook community where it allows you to then, it's pre-recorded course, but then create a Facebook community where when they register for the course, they then join your private network group in Facebook. I build a private Facebook group. So everyone that purchases the course that's pre-recorded, they get an invitation to join your private group. So now what you get a chance to do is you can still create that personal connection that you want. Whereas maybe you're only going, maybe you go live for 5 minutes every day. So you're creating this place of, hey, if y'all have questions, maybe it's Ask Questions Tuesday or whatever you want to call it. So you jump in the group. Hey, if y'all have any questions on your live, they got a feed of questions. So I get you want to keep the value of the personal connections. So you can do that by having your private Facebook group. Because what that private Facebook group gives you a chance to do both. You'll be able to, by funneling your class audience from their purchase of your online course, funnel them into the private Facebook group, and then all you would do is you come in on a regular basis and you would just facilitate the conversation, interaction in the Facebook group. So you both get your time and efficiency, but you're not having to re-record a course that takes you 2 hours. So you're going to give yourself those 2 hours back of every recording because it's pre-recorded. Now you can take that 2 hours of every course and maybe divide that 2 hours of time over the course of the month, where it becomes like 20-minute breakdowns over the course of the month, and you're still keeping people engaged, interactive with your shipping course.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, I have that written down. I actually have the recorded courses, which I could just go back to. I just never sold them. But yeah, that's a good idea. And I'll work on that. I actually thought of WhatsApp, but I'm like, WhatsApp messages sometimes just stress me out.
Yeah. And I think WhatsApp can be a tool that you could also use, especially when you have people that are outside of the States or outside of their national customers. It's a good tool to use to communicate, but most people have Facebook. Some countries don't allow certain social media platforms. So WhatsApp can be a way where they can communicate with you. It's pre-recorded.
A lot of people are asking now, and I'm like, no, I don't have time to teach it now and all of that. So yeah.
because when you think about what's happening with in terms of the restaurant businesses, curbside still is a service. DoorDash, those other ways of getting food or getting access to it. People are not coming into the restaurants as much as they used to be. So you having the ability to ship food is, of course, that many business owners, whether they're in the restaurant or they're shipping clothes or novelty items, would need to understand and learn how to do. And I think you would be able to diversify more of your customer base by saying, here's how you are able to ship.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm going to work on that, and that way, um, hopefully it helps. And speaking about delivery and curbside and people not going into the restaurant, like you said, I think the last time we spoke, we talked about how now we just have like 2 days for takeout, Fridays and Saturdays. I must tell you that was one of the most scary business decisions that I've made, like in the past couple of years. But I'm surprised at how it's working. I know that people would go back to saying, oh, if you were open more days during the week, more people will come in. But that just takes us back to the drawing board of Jolas. What do we do? What's our passion? It's more of catering and shipping. And now it's not like we don't cater during the week, like we're there catering Tuesday through Thursday, actually Tuesday through Saturday, as long as it's pre-ordered. But to stay open for just the takeout options, that's what we decided to step away from. And we're just looking at the numbers and how it's playing out. It's actually working for us. It doesn't mean it will work for everyone. I think it's just working for us because we do the catering, which was our major thing. So the takeout part of Jola is new.
But I think that's going back to what you said. I mean, that was your business. Your
Yeah.
business wasn't dependent on foot traffic and dining in. And in the past, historically, restaurants, uh, most of their revenue would come from a restaurant would typically need about 60% of their business came from foot traffic and dining in. Well, COVID turned that upside down and on its head. So you've been able to find a way to take the backbone of your business as catering and shipping that doesn't have as much of an impact on your overall business. And I really appreciate the fact that you have decided to commit to that. So when you had to make that tough decision of, do I step away from what everyone else is doing, or do I stay true to who we are and allow our business to thrive? So with your accounting background and your experience being an entrepreneur, and I want to open up a restaurant,
Okay.
what are two things that you would recommend someone that wants to open a restaurant or a food truck should consider before they open up a restaurant or a food truck?
First is, where are you at right now financially? You have to look at the numbers. It's very important. That's the first thing. And secondly, your target audience. It's very important. I feel like everybody gets distracted thinking about how they go to restaurants to eat, or how they go to restaurants to eat, or how their friends go to restaurants with them. And they forget that it's way beyond that to keep the business going. So, most importantly, you have to look at your finances. Um, do the math. What's okay? When I open my restaurant, how much money do I make in a day? Like, how many plates of food do I need to sell at an average of $5 to be able to pay rent, cover for staff, pay bills, and still make money? I think the mindset I got after we opened the store was, I have a lot of friends. Like, I know almost everybody around me would make at least like would make six figures in a year. So
Mhm.
I'm asking myself, do I have to make less because I'm an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
So that's where the money comes in. And I have seen a lot of restaurants and caterers, and that takes us back to trying to water it down, watering down the recipes, and then they sell it cheaper. And
Mhm.
I mean, I don't, we shouldn't even go into that. But are people in business because they want to keep saying they're in business, or they're making money? So first, funding, and secondly, your target audience, and that's what I am trying to. I feel like I'm relearning with Jolas since we started the brick and mortar, because I feel like for a split second, I got distracted from who our target audience was and what we do as a business. So I had to quickly go back to the drawing board and know to retrace our steps. It's very easy to get carried away, especially with the social media age. You'd see what this person is saying. I mean, that they sold 1,000 plates doesn't mean they made any money from it. Um, I know that
So
business owners.
let me say what you're trying not to say.
Okay,
I'm gonna help you
I'll
out.
let you.
I will say, because I see this and working with a lot of restaurants, a lot of things that I see of all different types. Just because you like it doesn't mean that you should sell it. Just
Yep.
because you enjoy a particular food or you have a business idea, just because you like it doesn't mean you sell it. So the second point you made is knowing your audience. Do you offer something that in the marketplace that can actually fill a need? And I firmly believe that in Oklahoma City, our African restaurants are leading the way, have been the most impactful into the space, because each restaurant, from Jola's to Taste of Africa to Mama Z's, each has multiple streams of business that they're bringing to the table, and they're optimizing and maximizing. And you understand your audiences, because um, although the cuisines are so different from Mother Africa, but you all have found ways to deliver something that gets people excited, and it's the authenticity. I so appreciate the fact that you are not wanting to get away from the origin flavors to give people an experience, because I truly believe that it is a disservice when you're introducing culture to people that you're not giving them an opportunity to understand what it really is. And I've said that to you, like, hey, don't get too far away from how it tastes. And the fact that you talk about the smoky flavor of jollof rice, now I'm like, when I go to a restaurant, like, I want it smoky, right?
Which you probably not always get. I
Right.
promise you,
And,
because
and you really don't, because
yeah.
sometimes I've had jollof rice in some restaurants, not here in Oklahoma City, that it almost tastes like Spanish rice. And I was like,
No.
yeah, the color maybe, but I'm like, this seems too much more like Spanish rice, and I don't taste the spices. So you raise a great point. When you're building a business, does it make business sense? And is it something that you offer in the marketplace that customers will have access to? And I would add into what you're saying. Do you have a way to have a competitive advantage?
Mhm.
And I believe when you went back to um, who you are, your competitive advantage is, if you want Jola's Kitchen food, you can access it. We'll send it to you. We have catering at home. You don't have to come here to get it. We're close to closing out the podcast for today. How important has your family, your mom and dad, your siblings been to influence you to be the businesswoman that you are today?
Extremely important. I remember, so my mom, automatically we got all of the learnings from her, right? Just by watching her and her raising us. For my dad, I remember when I started to finally make these meals for money, and I would call and I would say that um, I need this, I need that. My dad, of better memory now, because he's late, he would call me Iyalase. I know when we launched the food truck, I said that Iyalase means the chef, the big chef, something like that. Because
Okay.
like in Nigeria, the person that would cook for the big parties, we will say Afegbala say we want to hire
Mhm.
a major caterer to do the
Mhm.
cooking. So my dad would call me Yala say, and everything that I need, he would source for, and some my mom would source for, right? And whatever one my mom cannot get, my dad would make sure he finds it, and my mom would sometimes pack it up, and my dad would personally label it. I remember holding on to some of those bags for so long after I passed away, just seeing his handwriting on the egusi label or on the snails label. I mean, he would label it out and put my name in brackets, and they would send it out to me. I know. So my dad did that. My brother, who is the one that does most of the graphic work for Jola, is like the first logo I had, I was just like, oh, I need this, and he would make it happen.
Yeah.
Even our Edmond store right now, my brother did all of the interior designing. And then I had my
So
sister.
your brother's in the UK, right?
Now, my brother that's here in the United States is the one I'm
Okay,
talking
so he's
about
here in
now.
the States. Okay.
Yes, my other brother in the UK is a silent, supportive one. He wouldn't say much, but whenever you post anything, he would share it and he would talk about it. And then my sister would just talk to me personally and would just keep ailing you. So my family did a part, and of course, my husband. I mean, played the tremendous role for where Jolas is at right now. The major growth that Jolas experienced was after we got married. And I mean at some point I'm like, oh my God, I don't want you to quit your career trying to help Jolas, because he is in the tech world and he enjoys what he does, but he would always make time to make sure that, I mean, so family is just a blessing. And I would not forget to also say friends. I mean, great people. There are people that have supported Jolas since I was in college. There are people that will shout Jolas from the rooftop, that would refer people. So family and friends are great people. They have played a major role. And this includes my church family when I say family too. So those people have played a major role in my life, and I'm so thankful to have them as mine. I'm so thankful for them. Yeah.
That I think it's really important to have a supportive, family unit and family friends, or a community of people who support what you do.
Yes.
I can't end the podcast without asking you, because you mentioned this a few times. You've referenced your faith. You've referenced God's design and God's plan for how things are going. How has your faith played a role in pushing through this a very difficult business?
It's still helping me. Let's start that way, because, like I said, Jola's wasn't exactly planned. So I'm certain that this is God's plan. I have no handwriting in this. A typical example is how we got the store in Edmond. I never thought I would have a store in Edmond for any reason. I was looking for space. I was looking for a kitchen space, but I was within Oklahoma City, because I would think Edmond is really expensive and all of that. But when we found the realtor and we told her what we did, she showed us a couple of places. And then the next day she calls and says, Jola, I went on your website and I paid attention to everything that you do. And I think I have the perfect spot for you. I mean, she didn't have to go on our website to understand our business better, but she did that. And when she took us to the space we are right now, it was love at first sight. I was like, okay, this is the spot. So I just feel like God took us there. And you said through the difficult seasons of the business. I feel like with entrepreneurship, sometimes you are having a difficult moment and you also have a winning moment. And I know, because you know this, Apollo, and you've spoken to a lot of business owners. I think you understand what I just said. So for every time that I am tired, for every time that it looks really blurry, many times God sends a silver lining, just one reminder. It might just take a sentence from someone, or it might take just one order that someone places. And I'm like, okay, God, I see you. That was you. And sometimes it just reminds me of when I prayed to get out of the commercial kitchen, or when I prayed to get the food truck. And I mean, the food truck hasn't been smooth sailing. We've had a fair share of pain and stress and
Yeah.
but for every time when something okay, there are things that okay, let's put it this way. There are things that happen sometimes in life, and you know that was not by your power. You're just like, God, okay, I know that was you, thank you. And you just move on. So that's what it has been for Jola. Is I
Yeah.
mean, it happens every time. So when it's time to thank God, we're like, God, thank you. And when it's time to cry to Him, I'm like, God, I beg. Like we say
Yeah.
now in Nigeria, God, I beg literally means it's not just God, please. When you say God, I beg, you are literally just like, I leave it all to you.
Yeah.
Take control. Yeah. So that's what my faith has done. It has just it has helped, it has strengthened me when I was weak or whenever I am weak, it always strengthens me.
Yeah.
And it has also helped me to be thankful and see the many good things that we might just ignore every day as humans.
I love it. I love it. And then it's really something special when you are in the food world because you're giving people something. I think offering somebody, breaking bread and offering food to someone, whether they're paying for it or not, is really it's a loving gesture. It's an act of service. What food does, it brings people together. It gets people curious.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work that goes in preparing a dish, and I enjoy having conversations like this because I get a chance to learn myself because I don't know everything, but then also letting people who watch this podcast and follow us know that there's something very special about a restaurant and about a business. As we close it out, let people know how they can find you online, where are you located, if they're wanting to visit the restaurant or order food online.
Okay, so again, my name is Jola Sumola, the head chef and owner of Jola's Kitchen, authentic African food, Nigerian cuisine. We are located in Edmond, Oklahoma, 3209 South Broadway, Suite 111, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73013. Our website is www.jolaskitchen.com. We cater to all kinds of events, private and social. We also ship meals across the United States, and very soon we're launching another portion of our meals where you can actually try them in smaller portions if you don't want to buy the trays, because that's what we really ship currently. And on there, you can also book our food truck. You can also sign up for a call with us if you have a catering coming up, and we can help you. We walk you through everything, and that's one of the things we're good with at Jolas. We pay attention to every detail. And our sister company, Snails Unlimited, you find a direct link on Jola's website. That's where we sell like dry snails. And right now we have oran crayfish and moi moi. We're gonna add more items. We have pure beans powder, and that's what we make moi moi from. There's a video there where you can actually make African food at the comfort of your home in about 30 minutes. It's that easy. So that's what we do at Jola's. If you use Instagram or Facebook, on Instagram, we are at Jola's_kitchen. If you follow us on Instagram, you get to see a lot of real life situation of cooking jollof rice in a very large pot or frying puff puff. Instagram is where all the fun stuff is at. And that's also the same thing on Facebook. Please follow us, like, share. We're also on Google if you need to find us. And our phone number is 405-283-3165. If you have any questions or complaints, we want to listen to everything you have to say. So thank you so much.
Now, if you are not hungry by the time you finish listening to this podcast episode, I don't know what to tell you, but I know I've been, for the hour and 18 minutes that we've been talking, I've been thinking about the fried,
Fish roll.
the fish rolls. I feel a little slighted because I didn't get the smoky jollof rice, but now I understand. Like I'm not, look, I'm telling you now, I'm not letting it go. I want mine. I want it smoky. And I'm glad we're able to share your story and talk about food that makes me hungry on the Bigger Than Food podcast. So I need y'all to share this episode and like our YouTube channel. You can find us on youtube.com/Black Eats, or go to the Bigger Than Food podcast playlist and find more about us. Now, this concludes our episode that you'll be able to see and watch the replay. Please make sure you continue to intentionally spend your money and support Jola's Kitchen up in Edmond. They got a food truck. They got a brick and mortar. They do catering. They ship United States, and they're probably going to be shipping worldwide here in a minute. But that's an amazing story from Jola, and I appreciate her coming on and enjoying this episode of the Bigger Than Food podcast.